These are the plaintiffs, Arlene and James Upton. Arlene says the defendant gave her son a ride home in his car, drove recklessly in the rain, lost control of his car and hit a tree. Her son got a big lump on his head, felt dizzy and needed to be rushed by ambulance to the hospital. Thank God he was wearing a seatbelt and the injury wasn't serious. But the defendant refuses to pay their hospital bill, so they're suing the ignoramus for the $1,701.70 they're owed. These are the defendants, Jean and Justin Petters. Jean says she has no idea why a 13-year-old kid was even in her 18-year-old son's car to begin with, and was totally blindsided when the plaintiff showed up at her house demanding money because her son was in an accident with Justin. The plaintiffs have never provided her with any proof her son James was even in the car, let alone in an accident. Her son Justin says he was driving alone, and she thinks this lawsuit is one big scam. They're accused of mangling a minor.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiffs say the defendant took their son home, hit a tree, and ended up in the ER. But the defendants say the 13-year-old shouldn't have been in the car in the first place. It's the case of, if you were a tree, what would you be besides injured?
Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome in.
Okay, Arlene and James Upton. This is James. How old is James?
James, 14 now.
14 now. You are suing Jeannie
Yes.
and Justin Petters?
Petters, yes.
Okay. How old are you?
18.
18. For $1,701.70 for an emergency room bill and doctor's bills, because according to you, your son had an accident in his car.
Correct.
Okay. Because I know, I've seen your complaint, I've seen your answer. We're going to start with you, which is unusual, but that's how it is. He's the first one who knows what's going on. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was driving home and I hear my name being called. I was at a red light from the deli right by the red light. And it was my friend Rob. So I pull into the parking lot, say hi to him, and he wanted to hang out. So I wasn't doing anything. So I'm like, all right, sure. But he was with his friend who was the plaintiff, James.
Okay, how old's your friend Rob?
He's 17.
Okay.
So I said, well, I don't really want your friend in my car. I don't even know him, and he's a little kid. I don't want him in my car. But he's like, just drive him home, and then we can hang out. So finally he convinced me. He's like, come on, just come on. And finally,
Where's your friend now?
Where is he now?
Yeah, why didn't he go by your
He's not my
side?
friend. I don't talk to him anymore. I haven't
Right,
talked to him
okay,
since
so
then.
go ahead. The car's registered in your name?
Just his name.
Just his name. So why are you being sued?
Because she wants my insurance information.
Okay, so go on.
Yeah. So I'm like, fine. So they were on their bikes. They had little.
Were you 18 at the time this happened?
Yes.
Okay.
So they had little BMX bikes. So they put them in my trunk.
According to you, there were two bikes?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
what happened? They go inside your car and what happens?
Well, they actually wanted to get food. They convinced me to get food. Rob was like, oh, let's stop somewhere and get food. And so I'm like, whatever.
Your son has entirely too much time on his hands.
Yeah.
Go on.
It was the last day of school.
Okay. Oh, it was the last day of school?
Yeah. So I had time on my hands.
Okay.
So we were driving, and then that's when the accident occurred.
How did the accident happen?
It was raining at the time, and I didn't have good tires on that car because it's a sharp turn like that. So around the turn, kind of just the back end kind of just skidded and
Okay.
smashed into a telephone pole.
Oosh. And then what happens with your passengers?
The passengers, well, I was like shaken up, and I believe they were too, because this was my first accident. I'm sure it was their first accident also.
Well, I don't know. Is it your first accident, pal?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. He's all of 12 or 13. Go ahead.
So we were all like, I was like, is everyone okay? And they're like, yeah, we're fine. And I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? And so I was like, I'm going to call the police. And then they got like scared. They're like, we don't want the police to come. Or they're like, started freaking out.
Okay, why weren't you there when the police got there if you were in the car accident?
I was scared and I knew how to.
Well, then why are you making a face when he says that you were scared and that you took off on the bike? Did you take off on the bike?
No, I was on my friend's handlebars.
Okay, and so you're on your friend's handlebars?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of dangerous. And then, so where's your friend? Isn't here to testify on your behalf either?
No.
Okay, and do you have an affidavit from him?
No.
Something from the only other witness, you know. All right. And so according to you, you leave because you got scared? Why are you scared? If the police are going to come in with cars, what did you do wrong?
I was just scared of my parents.
Oh, because you were in some 18-year-old guy's car that you're not supposed to be in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because are you supposed to hang out with an 18-year-old?
No.
No, you're not scared of the law. You're scared of the law. Right? So you take off on the bike and what happens?
We rode to a nearby deli and then
What's
I
all
didn't
this
want,
hanging out at delis that you guys do? Where are you from?
Long Island.
Long Island.
So that's all you guys do is hang out at delis? Okay, go ahead.
and then I didn't really want to call the hospital because I didn't want my mom to find out. But
And
then
why were you going to call a hospital?
because I had a really huge bump on my head.
Do you have a picture of the bump? No. Mom, do you have a
No,
picture of the
I
bump?
don't have a picture of the bump.
Nobody took a picture of the big bump?
No, we didn't know this was going to happen.
There
So.
was
Yeah,
no
but
bump
I
when
mean,
they
all
looked.
right, go ahead.
Okay.
Well, maybe you should watch a little more People's Court.
I think so.
All right, go ahead. I mean, if you know he has a bump and you know that somebody else caused the bump, why wouldn't you just take a picture? And if you don't need it, you don't need it.
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
thought it would go through my insurance, so I just submitted my insurance when I took him to the hospital.
Do you have insurance? When you say your insurance,
my
you mean,
my health insurance.
but you mean his health insurance,
Right,
right?
that's covered
He's
under-
covered under your health insurance.
Yes.
All right, so go ahead.
And then people at the deli, they were telling me it was bad. So the deli called it, and then the ambulance showed up.
Why wouldn't you just call your parents at that point?
I don't know.
I mean, you know, if your parents are going to be mad about a bump on your head, how mad are they going to be when they get a call from an emergency room saying you're there?
I was very upset.
Is there any conceivable defense here going way in the back?
I don't think so. I think he should be put in jail. He killed the kid. Or
Well,
not
he didn't kill him, but jail's not a bad idea going inside the courtroom.
So you go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
You don't talk to your mother or anybody else before you head
No,
off
I
there.
called him when I got into the ambulance truck.
And then what happens?
And then my friend Rob's parents and my parents came to the hospital.
Okay, and now take it away, Mom.
Okay, so then we came to the hospital. I get the phone call. Of course, I'm upset, but the ambulance driver said, he's okay, just come right to the hospital. So I came right to the hospital, and he told me what happened. And I just submitted my hospital information.
And then you gave him a bump on the other side of the
told
head.
him you're punished for a month.
Right.
Right, you're punished for a month. You're not going out of the house because you should have never got into a car with somebody
That's
you don't even
crazy.
know because he doesn't even know him. They're just
Yeah.
mutual friends with
It's
Rob.
completely crazy.
Yes, it is. And then, so then a few months later, I get a hospital bill and I call the hospital. I said, well, I gave you my health insurance. How come you didn't go through? And they said, because it was a car accident, you have to go through the person whose car it belongs to. Then I was like, oh God. When James got home from school, I said, you got to tell me the boy's name. We have to go over. I have to talk to him and see if he could put it through his car insurance. And that's when
Why are you suing the
they
mother?
because I didn't know if the insurance was in his name or his mother's name.
Okay, but do you have any evidence that the mother's name is on the car?
No, I have nothing. They wouldn't
Okay,
tell me
the
any
mother's
information.
dismissed. Okay,
Okay.
so you've got your lawsuit against
Okay.
the 18-year-old. And so
He wouldn't give me his insurance information or any information at all.
was the car insured?
This car is insured, yes.
So why didn't you just give them your insurance
See, the
information?
thing is, they didn't show us anything. She could describe this better because they talked to her. They never really
Okay,
talked
talk to me, Mom.
Okay.
Right. You know, he told me.
Well, no,
'cause
you're not totally out. Don't be totally relieved. Go ahead.
The night of the accident, I got the call around 7:30 that he, smashed the car, and his friend Rob was in the car, but everyone was fine.
But he doesn't tell you about the little kid in the car?
He never told me about it because what he said later on, after the 4 months when we found out, is that he was afraid he would get in trouble. Don't tell the police that I was here. So the police report that we have only states that the 17-year-old
No,
boy
I know.
was in the
So
car.
you lied to the police?
Well, he said, please don't tell
I
my
don't care what
parents.
this 13-year-old kid who you don't know
I felt
says
bad-
for
I
you to
felt bad for
do.
him.
When the police
That's
ask
why.
you what happened, you lie to the police? Seriously?
Well, I felt bad for him because he was like begging me, please
What do you
don't tell
think
my
he
parents.
is, an escaped convict? He's 13. Doesn't matter what he's begging.
I didn't want him to get in trouble with his parents. I kind of felt bad for him.
You
I didn't
can't
even know
be
him.
serious. So you lie to the police, which is a misdemeanor, over some kid you don't even know? You're full of bad decisions, college boy. Putting some little kid you don't know inside the car,
Yeah.
who could turn around and say you raped him. You don't know what he could say, okay? I mean, seriously. All right? And then you put him in the car, then he leaves, and then you lie to everybody about whether he was in there, including the police, which is a misdemeanor. Are you out of your mind? So, Mom, when does he come clean about what happened?
Well, Arlene showed up at my house. I never met her before, and Justin was expecting friends, so I let her right in, not realizing it wasn't
You
one
thought
of his
she was
friends.
a friend he was expecting?
No, I didn't look until when I looked up, and I'm like, she's a little old to be hanging out with my son.
Oh my God! Well, but your son hangs out with 13-year-olds, so it all meshes.
And I had
he
no
has age is
idea.
just a number to your son.
No
all right.
idea what was going on. It was the first I heard of it. Was 4 months later. Never heard a word about it. And all I asked for was a police. I asked her if she had a police report. She said yes. I said,
Okay,
"Can
but
I
you
see
now
it?"
know that it's truthful, right? Because now,
Right.
then you took your son, and
Well,
then
yeah, we had it out after she left. But
Right.
I wanted the police report. I wanted
I
documentation,
understand.
especially if she was asking me for money. I wanted to
understand.
see the medical
So now the problem
records.
you have is that your son actually tells the police there's only one person in the car, and the person who is trying to get your insurance information is someone he never even told about. And then the only way to get your insurance to cover this little debacle is if your son admits that he lied to the police. right? Have I got it?
Your Honor, all I had was words like my son was hurt.
Okay, but now here are the words you have. Your son knows that he had the kid in the car. We know that there are $1,000 something in bills. Okay, what else is there to know? There's a $1,349 ER bill, and then there is a $238.95 doctor bill.
And it's one for $112.83.
That's from whom?
It's from the hospital.
Have you paid any of it?
No, I haven't paid any of it. I called.
How do you figure you're not going to have to pay for this?
Well, because he wasn't injured in my car.
When was he injured? What would you believe if you were the judge about where the injury happened? Would you speculate that Martians came and beat him up, or would you assume it happened in the accident?
Probably assume it happened in the accident.
Okay. $1,701.70 verdict for the plaintiff against you, not your mom.
Well, the young defendant over here, come on, stand next to me. Stand next to him, okay, over here. And, well, you pretty much made the decision right there at the end for the judge. I mean, you saw how she has to see this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was really no proof he was injured in my car, but that's what she said. That's how
I think we went over that, didn't we? Have you ever apologized to your mom, or have you?
Sorry, Mom.
It's good enough for you?
Well,
Carry
no,
on?
but it's, you got to move on. I just would have liked some documentation to see some paperwork verifying it because I didn't know about it at first.
Does he have to pay for this?
He certainly will.
All right.
All right, guys.
Try to save this. All right, step on in here. How are you? Come on in here. You stand next to me, right next to him, okay? Get next to him. You come on in. Come on in, big guy. You're the man here. This is all about you. What do you have to say about it?
That he was wrong.
What about you?
That I learned my lesson not to get in an 18-year-old's car.
Harvey?
It's real simple. Put the fear of God in your kid, that when your kid is driving, that the kid drives safely, and not put passengers who don't belong in a car.